Hey, what's up everyone? It's your girl Brainy Shanae, and today is my stop for the Color Pages book tour, and it's going to be 4 Bad Things Happen Here by Rebecca Barrow. So if you want to know what are my thoughts about this book, please stay tuned. And I am back. So like I said, I'll be doing a book review for the Color Pages book tour for this particular book, and I'm so excited to get right into it. So for this book, we are featuring the main character, Luca Lane Thomas, who lives in Paris, which is a small island. And of course, if everybody knows everybody and everybody knows everybody's business on this island, and it's considered the cursed island as well. But even with that premise alone, there are some content warnings within this book, which is shares at the very beginning of the book prior to you reading it, which it says on this page right here. It says this work contains themes of self-harm, suicidal ideation, and physical and sexual violence. So I'm glad and happy that this book has that. I'm glad that even books alone, especially publishers and authors, are putting that in their books prior to them reading it, so that way it gives people a heads up. So I do love that. And then also I love the main character, who is plus size. She's Black and she's queer, so there's a lot of stuff into one with this book, and I love it. But on top of that, it's mostly, I feel like, a thriller and a mystery. So back to Luca. She lives on this island, and as we read this book, we learn a few things that Luca has gone through as she has lived on this cursed island, about her best friend. I'm not trying to give any spoilers. You're gonna have to read this book yourself to find out. But it was really sad, and for Luca saying that she really wants to leave this island but she can't, that definitely hit me in my soul, because it's your home and you know that your best friend is no longer there because she's dead, but she doesn't want to leave the island because that's where her and her best friend, you know, grew up and stuff, and you know, have memories there. So we, right from the jump, we know more about her best friend Polly and what had happened to her. And of course, Luca, she doesn't understand. She doesn't know why the police didn't do more investigations on who did this or whatever. And a lot of things didn't add up when it came to Polly's death. Because one thing that Luca knew about Polly's is that she hated the water. She didn't want to go anywhere near it. So the fact that they found her in the ocean, that didn't go well with Luca. She was thinking like she would never go near any water because she's scared of it. So she doesn't know what had happened with that. So she has this chip on her shoulder about, you know, her best friend gone, and she's still living on this cursed island. And to top it off, her best friend used to live across the street from her. So once her family, when Polly passed away, her family moved away from the island, and now a new person is moving into that home. And you know, Luca has some feelings about that. But on top with that, with Luca also lives with her family. She also has a big sister named Whitney. And you know, her and Whitney talk about the new girl that's moved into town, into Polly's old house, and her name is Naomi. And I feel like Luca sort of had a connection with Naomi, but to top that off, like, Luca was still going through stuff, especially since her best friend was killed. And you know, they stopped doing investigations on it when it came to Polly's death. So Luca was trying to live a normal life as possible. She ended up going to a party with her big sister and stuff, and that's when Luca finally meets Naomi for the first time, and they just hit it off instantly. And I feel like Luca had a connection with her, like I said, and I think Naomi also had a connection with Luca. And so the next morning, Luca realizes something is not right, but she senses something in her spirit because she feels like this place is so cursed, and the curse is going to get anybody, anywhere on this island that lives on this island. And she just had a sense, she had some type of intuition that something bad was going to happen. She just didn't know who it would be. And so the next morning she woke up and her parents was telling her that Whitney is missing. And then later on they find her body. So now Luca's trying to figure out what is going on, who is doing this. And so not only does she want to investigate the murder of her sister, but she also wanted to investigate the murder of Polly as well, because she feels like they're connected. And to top that off, she wants to see how this curse works, because every time she looks, it's always somebody that she loves and cares about, someone that she is close to. So with that alone, she's already motivated to see what's happening. So she starts investigating. She starts asking Whitney's friends, like Madison, where she was, and she says she was with Carter, yada yada yada. She talks to Carter. Carter says she didn't see her, she wasn't with her, and stuff like that. But then his story didn't add up, because his story with the police was something completely different. So she confronted Carter again, and come to find out, him and Whitney were having a relationship. And with that, Carter was with Beth, which is one of Whitney's other best friends. So she was hooking up with her best friend's man. And a lot of people didn't know that. They wanted to keep it under wraps. But Beth herself, she knew. And I feel like women and girls, their intuition, it's spot on. You know, we notice a few things, we're not dumb. And I feel like some men, they think they slick, but they ain't. They're not, right? So we have that. So that was just, her mind was blown with that fact alone. And she felt like she didn't really know her sister. She didn't know anything like, she had tons of secrets. And I feel like a lot of people have secrets. I mean, Luca seemed like she had some secrets up, you know, but she put herself out there, especially when it came to Naomi. So she's still investigating, and she's talking to Beth now, because, you know, maybe, you know, since she knew about Carter, maybe she was trying to get back at Whitney, but that wasn't the thing. And then she starts to know more about Whitney that she didn't know, like even more things, like as far as her using drugs and stuff like that, and Beth selling her drugs. It's crazy. It was just a circle. And you know, since it's an island and it's a small town, you know, somebody has to know something. She even talked to Madison. She said, no, she left, and you know, nothing happened, you know, she just left. And Madison is like her best friend. And you know, Madison was sad because she was also getting married, and she wanted Whitney to be there with her as she was getting married. So Madison, you know, is devastated. And Luca's trying to figure out who to trust. And I also love the fact that it mentions mental health in this book and mental health awareness, especially after Polly had died. Luca sought counsel, to seek a therapist. And I do love that aspect, because I feel her parents actually said that, you know, her brain works differently, and they knew that she needed help. So she has a therapist. So I love how it talks about mental health and how to protect your mental health and how to do whatever you can, you know, to talk to somebody. And I love that aspect about this book as well. So yeah, there's therapy in this, which I do love. And then Naomi also had secrets of her own, you know, saying that her and Luca sort of have the connection, and they also know what the other person is going through, because Naomi, her friend Anya, had died. But come to find out, that was a lie, and Luca found out the truth, and that just set her off. Like, she didn't want anything to do with Naomi, and she was actually falling for Naomi as well. So that really broke her heart. But then Luca talks to one of her ex-friends, who they were friends, and then Luca looked at her even more than just a friend, and that was Jade. And Jade is the daughter of the police officer, like the head police officer there. And Jade was trying to fill her in on certain things, especially when it came to Whitney and her case and stuff, and the progress of that case. And then at some point, they made it seem like Luca was the main prospect. She was just like the person in of interest, because of what she had texted to Whitney that night, saying, "I'm gonna kill you if you do this and this." And then Luca was like, "That's my sister. I'm going to say that to her." Like, sisters say that to each other. Brothers say that to each other. I'm not going to kill my sister. Why would I do that? So they were thinking Luca had killed her sister, but that wasn't the case at all. And then come to find out, like, they were trying to like cover some things up, saying that Whitney was pregnant and all this other things, and knowing that Whitney wasn't. So the cop looked crooked. But then there were some other things hidden in this book as well as to Whitney's death and what really had happened to her. But with that alone, it was weird because there still wasn't justice for Whitney, because at the same time, Luca would have been framed herself if she had opened her mouth about it. And come to find out, the prime suspect was the main person in Whitney's life that's always been there for her. And then there was another person involved with Whitney's death. So it was just an interesting book. Like I said, I love the representation of it all. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a fast-paced of a book. And it's only, I would say, about 38 pages. So it's really not long. I really enjoyed it. It had me, like, suspenseful because I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like, what's going to happen next? Who killed Whitney? And are we going to find out the who killed Polly? Which, you really don't, because the main thing for this book now for Luca is finding out who killed Whitney and how the curse works. And Luca comes to the conclusion that the curse isn't the island. The curse is it's just the people on this island. Not everyone is a good person. And Luca finally has the courage to leave the island behind. She leaves the island at the very end of this book, knowing that in order for her to move on and to grieve and mourn properly, she had to leave the island. But like I said, it was fast paced. I love this book. I love the premise of the book. I love the cover because it has the beach and everything. So I did not know what I was getting into when I read this book, and I can honestly say I really enjoyed it. But this book was amazing, and the fact that, like, when they were trying to blame her as like the main person that possibly killed her sister Whitney, that was crazy, because I broke it down because it even goes into like her being a black girl as well on this island, who the main people on this island is white. So I did like this part in this book where it says, let's see, Luca makes a noise of disbelief, open investigation. Polly's case has been closed since only a month after she died. When they said they were certain it was an unfortunate tragedy. No sign of foul play. Investigation concluded. That's bullshit. Charles holds a hand out flat in the air and rocks it from side to side like she's almost right, but not quite. Actually, he says we're following some new avenues. And this is, he says, it's funny how for so long Luca has dreamed of this, fantasized about Polly's case being reopened and the cops actually looking this time to find who did that to her. Funny how now that it seems that they're doing it, now that she's heard those words out of Charles' mouth, they fill her with dread instead of hope. Now, Charles is Jade's father. He is the cop. And then they go into more information talking about Jade, talk about Luca herself and how she looks like the person that possibly killed her. And then he says, Charles looks her up and down. You're a big girl, Luca, he says with the slightest smirk, which is he's suggesting that she could take on Whitney. And then in her head it says, big girl, black girl. That's what he means too, Luca knows. That's what he won't say because of course he's not racist, right? That's what he would say. It's what everyone on this island would say, because to them, not screaming slurs in the street equals them being the most progressive, equality-loving motherfuckers. But they all have it deep inside them. Luca is hot all over, and she would like nothing more than to hiss how wrong he is, how he is wasting time that he always does, how she hates him for even suggesting that she could ever have hurt Whitney and hurt Polly. So that was going on through her head, and I felt that because living in a predominantly white town and you're the person of color questioned, and the person that was killed was your relative or your sister, and you think that she would do that to her own sister, especially this is a small town. Charles knows Luca. So yeah, that was a very powerful scene, and I'm glad that was said in this book, because it's realistic. It was very realistic for me, and I do appreciate how the entry of this went. It says, but she knows this is exactly what he wants from her, an outburst of rage. Another thing he can point at as evidence. Big girl, black girl, angry girl. So I do love this entry, and I do appreciate that the author put this in there because it's, like I said, it's realistic. And I love how when it comes to these circumstances and certain situations that these entries are in this book, because it is realistic, and it does happen on many occasions on a regular basis. So I do appreciate it about this book as well, and I do appreciate that the author put this in there. But enough of me raving about this book. Like I said, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a fast-paced book. It was suspenseful. You finally figure out who killed Whitney, who was part of her murder, and the ending of what Luca and her conclusion on what she should do for the rest of her life. And she needs to finally realize that she needs to let the island go and live her life outside of the island, and to process everything that's happened on the island, and also try to grieve and mourn for her sister and her best friend Polly. But that is it. That is my review for this amazing book. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.